So hello and good morning. Welcome to the Reporayas, the live Hindu analysis class. Today the date is, as you know, 9th of October, and we are starting first of all, as usually what we do, we'll be starting with the yesterday's questions, the Saturday's questions. Fine. First of all, so let us start with the 7th of October questions. First question is the Nobel Peace Prize 2023 was awarded to. This was an easier question. So what should be the correct answer for this? Of course, Iranian activist. She was in jail. She is still in jail, and she has been awarded with the Nobel Peace Prize for 2023. That is Narges Mohammadi. Fine. Second subjective question is, educational institutions have to rethink their approach so that it is in tune with the new education policy, which will be crucial in realizing the 2030 deadline for the Sustainable Development Goals. You need to discuss this question in 150 words. So we discussed one of the articles on the editorial page of the Hindu on Saturday, and that was aligning higher education with the United Nations SDG, that is Sustainable Development Goals. So what should be the ideal structure of your answer? Of course, following the same approach, that is intro, body, and conclusion. Fine. So what should be since the question is of 10, it's not word here, it's marks. So 10 markers. So intro should be not more than 3 to 4 lines. And how you can begin with. So of course, in introduction, you can write that the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are a set of 17 goals with 169 targets that all 193 UN members states have agreed to try to achieve by 2030. Fine. Or you can say the SDGs are a matter of urgency and actions by all countries, both developed and developing, to end poverty and other socio-economic and environmental problems should align with with strategies that improve the standard of life and education, reduce inequality, and harness economic growth. Fine. So that's it. This much should be the, either first, there are two types of introduction from this article can be. First is database, second could be the purely theoretical. So that's how you can have these two types of introduction. Okay. Apart from this, the body part. So of course, body part, the first major heading under body part should be the NEP 2020 and the SDG that we discussed. And under this, since you have just two major heads under this article, so therefore whatever further SDGs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all have been discussed under this head, NEP 2020 and SDGs. So you need to mention all of these point wise apart from other information as well. Fine. So NEP 2020 and SDG, that should be the first major heading, and under this, the body part, you should mention at least 4 to 5 points. Fine. The second major head would be the suggestions and the concluding remarks. So suggestions could be the major heads. So again, you need to mention the suggestions, and finally you can conclude with your conclude your answer by giving a futuristic conclusion. For example, every citizen must feel that the universities contribute directly to their well-being and national building. Even before this, you can say that it is a high time that the Indian universities adopt the sustainability as a mantra and incorporate SDGs into their institutional strategies, both in daily administration and in teaching and research as well. Fine. So this is how you can conclude your answer. Fine. So that's it as far as the Saturday's questions are concerned. Let us quickly start with the today's Hindu, and let us analyze this beginning from the first page or the front page. Okay. So here is your first page, and of course you know what's going on between Israel and Hamas, that is Palestinian terrorist group, you can say. Israeli air strikes pound Gaza as death toll climbs, but even in Israel you see more than 600 people have been killed by Hamas attacks. Fine. Apart from that, in retaliation, almost 370 dead. 400 in the range of this. 400 people have died on the Hamas side as well, or in the Gaza Patti. Fine. Okay, so Indians asked to remain in contact with the embassy. Fine. Those Indians, around 18,000 Indians are there in Israel. So therefore, they have been asked to remain in contact with our Indian embassy in Tel Aviv, Israel. Okay. Apart from this, This is politics. Okay, death toll rises to 32 in Sikkim flash flood. So you can see the numbers are going upward, and the missing numbers yet, no, missing people are yet to be. Of course, search is on for almost 100 plus people who are still missing. Okay. Here you see Afghanistan earthquake. So death toll rises to 2000, at least 10,000 injured due to the earthquake that we witnessed in Afghanistan. Fine. Apart from this, here we have one of the today's editorial, the lead editorial on the, this article on the editorial page. Bihar caste survey a census for a new deal. It is new synthesization of a class politics. Fine. So it's about more of politics, class politics, now moving away from the caste-based politics. Indian leaders build new digital megaphone. Okay, it is about the WhatsApp channels that people or the politicians across the lines using this for using to reach out to the people directly. Okay, so this is a city page, not that important. Those from Delhi just have a cursory look, otherwise rest people can skip unless until there is not anything important. Okay, so you have here states page. On a states page we see more or less the politics. So metro corridor launch takes a political turn. Okay, Bengaluru and CBI raids houses of Bengal minister. So all of this you can see. Of course, politics only, so let us not go into this. Of course, one is this UP universities courses on Karam Kand, Jyotir Vigyan proved to be an instant hit. Fine. So UP के कुछ universities ने courses launch किए हैं on Karma Kand and Jyotir Vigyan. That is, Jyotir Vigyan is astroscience, astrology. Fine. Nothing that important. Okay, so finally we are on this page. So a census for a new deal. So writer is in this article saying that this new Bihar caste census going to be Mandal 2.2. Mandal 1989, you know, the first time based on the Mandal Commission report, actually the OBCs got the reservation. Fine. So he is saying this is something, you know, this is going to be a 2.0, and this is moving beyond just caste, and now it is moving towards more of a class. Fine. For example, here you can see what he is mentioning. Fine. So the Bihar caste survey inaugurates not the reenaction of the old Mandal politics of narrow caste-based patronage, but the coming of age of a subordinate class-based politics. So moving from caste-based to class-based. This is also Mandal 2.0. So when we talk about class-based, means we are talking more in terms of economy. Fine, economic class. Fine, rich or poor or middle class and so on. But when you stick to caste, means we are strictly talking in terms of caste. Fine. So he is saying, and if this is true, then of course this is something which is remarkable, which could be remarkable. Moving towards caste class is better than having the caste as a basis for this division. Fine. For example, you can see in a book, Beyond Consumption, India's New Middle Class in the Neoliberal Times, Manish K. Jha and Pushpendra chart the composition of the middle class in terms of different caste groups. Briefly, 5% of upper caste fall in the upper middle class segment. So you can see that upper caste, whatever number is there of upper caste, just the 5% of this upper caste comes under upper middle class segment, compared to 3% of the OBCs and 1.4% of the Dalits. These variations are significant and sharpened pyramidically. The gaps are also starker in the Hindi belt states of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, where upper caste dominance is more entrenched. ठीक बात है. So ये जो distinction है वो across the states आपको across the caste देखने को मिल जाएगी. फाइन। तो हमें इसमें ज़्यादा कुछ खास नहीं है सच ज़रूरत डिस्कस करने के लिए। वॉट एवर रेलिवेंट थिंग्स आर देयर विल जस्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट दैट। So it is of course important to acknowledge that Mandal politics or considerable failures of Mandal politics in the Hindi belt, unlike in southern India, caste politics in the north made no substantive dent on the political economy or the institution of power and governance, or even on poverty reduction. So you can see south versus north again debate. And pan-India consensus. So pan-India consensus means that not just Bihar, but now the Rajasthan, even cabinet minister just 2 days back announced, or gave the green signal for caste-based survey. And then even the opposition parties are promising that if they come to power, then of course they will be, even pre-poll promises they are making, that we will be conducting such caste-based census. So you can see that we can again have this pan-India kind of or large-scale caste-based census that we can see in the upcoming times. Fine. And this is based on a simple term called जितनी आबादी उतना हक, or rights proportionate to population. जिसकी जितनी population है उसी proportion में उसको हक मिलना चाहिए, representation मिलनी चाहिए, be it reservation or in jobs. So one reason why Mandal politics eventually devolved into narrow caste formation was the splitting of the stream of farmer politics from the erstwhile block of socialist politics. So division between farmer politics, fine, farming versus socialist politics, and later the rapture of lower OBCs from the Yadavas. Yet, as Anthony Giddens has argued, social actors like ethnicities or caste contain purposive agents, not automatons directed by an external structure of false consciousness. So of course, social actors की अगर हम बात करें तो it is, at the society level we have a composition of everything based linguistic basis, division, be it ethnic biases or bases, you can say ethnic basis, then n number of bases or the factors which govern the or distinguish between the different sets of caste and class at the societal level. So you can see the political elites such as the Jats in Haryana and the Marathas in Maharashtra have begun to shun exclusivist strategies and gravitate towards a larger OBC platform. Even you see that both of these dominant class or political elite class like Jats in Haryana and Marathas in Maharashtra, they even been demanding reservation today. So this could be seen in the farmers' agitation and the Marathas Kunbi quota steer supported by Nationalist Congress Party. Of course, it is also possible that sections of the lower OBCs may also re-evaluate the returns in terms of the economic mobility and social prestige of choosing a political Hindu platform as opposed to an OBC platform. Fine. So lower जो OBCs हैं वो भी they might re-evaluate the returns, fine, or they might return to the Hindu platform, political Hindu platform, instead of going with the OBCs political platform or OBC platform. So this is kind of things that we can see or post this caste-based survey, and when more of such survey would be conducted in the more of the states, then of course we can have better idea about this. Next जो article है that is about what is going on between Hamas and of course Israel. So you can see Tufan al-Aqsa jolts West Asian geostrategic architecture. So this is important, West Asian or the Middle East geostrategic architecture and Tufan al-Aqsa. Tufan al-Aqsa is actually the operation launched by Hamas, fine, under which it attacked Israel, fine. So writer is saying he is a retired Indian ambassador and head of eco-diplomacy strategy, fine. So he is retired ambassador. So there are uncanny similarities between the Hamas operation Tufan al-Aqsa. Al-Aqsa mosque is there located in Jerusalem, fine, part of Israel. So therefore Al-Aqsa mosque. So operation name was Tufan al-Aqsa. That is Al-Aqsa flood, and the launch of the 19-day Yom Kippur War 50 years ago. So what exactly was Yom Kippur War? It took place in 1973 and it went for 19 days, longer 19 days, fine. In 1973, that's what marking the 50 years, that is 2023, and this was war basically between Israel and Arabs, major Arab countries, especially led by Syria and Egypt, fine. So this is what the parallel he is drawing. Although the latter was inconclusive, means this war was inconclusive, It led to regional tectonic shift with Israel accepting a land for peace formula. Land for peace with Camp David Accord 6 years later, means in 1979. Camp David is, of course, even earlier we have discussed it is located in Maryland state of US. It is a military base of actually US. With this jerky roll of the regional geostrategic kaleidoscope, can a similar outcome follow? Even as the ground situation is evolving, some broad but inherently tentative surmises can be made based on the two. Fine. So he has basically initially compared this Yom Kippur war with this present attack on Israel, but somewhat there are various key takeaways as well. So from military perspective, we see this attack, despite the fighting on its territory, Israel is not under an existential threat. Indeed, the outcome is also not in doubt. Israel is expected to prevail and push back Hamas, which lacks resources to sustain the campaign. Fine. So of course, before Israel, Hamas has no might actually, and Hamas can fight with Israel for a few days or let us say a month based on the supports from other parties, especially Iran. And you might have seen there was a celebration in Iran. People were on the streets and even in the parliament there was large-scale celebration post this attack by Hamas in Israel, because of course there is always a tiff going on between Israel and Iran. A massive ground incursions into Gaza could follow to exact vengeance, restore morale, reimpose the strategic asymmetry, and try to rescue captured soldiers and civilians. आप लोगों ने देखा होगा काफ़ी इसमें सिर्फ मारे ही नहीं गए जो सिटीजन्स हैं इसराइल के, बट इसराइल के यंगस्टर्स जो यंग पॉपुलेशन है, लड़के लड़कियां यहाँ ऑफ कोर्स उनको ना सिर्फ किडनैप किया गया, बट उनके साथ ज़्यादातर you can see heinous kind of crimes and all have been done by the Hamas, these terrorists. Fine. And even some soldiers were captured and killed by the Hamas. So the unsavory experiences from abject intelligence failure, of course it is intelligence failure on the part of Israel, to the misplaced reliance on high-tech missile defense system, artificial intelligence would compel Israel to revise its strategic doctrines. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है कि आयरन डोम नाम की मिसाइल डिफेंस सिस्टम भी है इसराइल के पास, बट फिर भी इस इतने लार्ज स्केल पे हमास कैसे सक्सेसफुल रहा, इतनी मैसिव अटैक कर पाया, इसके लिए इजराइल को रीवैल्यूएट करनी होगी अपनी स्ट्रेटेजिक डॉक्ट्रिन्स, एंड विल हैव टू, ऑफ कोर्स इट कैन बी लेबल्ड एट दिस स्टेज एज an abject intelligence failure on the part of Israel. Fine. A highly advanced intelligence system it has, still this kind of large scale operations were done by the Hamas, so this puts question mark over the intelligence of Israel. So the shock and we of the Hamas blitzkrieg portrayed in a war images have created new but lasting social media icons. Depending on the end game, this conflict could potentially revive the military option and further boost the standing of non-state Arab militias, such as non-state Arab militias means these are not state-sponsored, but they are Arab militias or the terrorist groups such as Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah, Al-Houthis. Even you see yesterday Hezbollah even entered this game. All Houthis, Islamic State, various avatars of Al-Qaeda and Al-Shabaab. So Hamas hai kya? Remember, Hamas Palestinian are basically the Islamic population, Sunni Islamic population. So जो ये सुनी इस्लामिक पॉपुलेशन है उसी में से कुछ इजिप्ट एंड पैलेस्टीन ने लेटर ऑन अरब जब इजराइल वॉर हुई थी पहले 6 डेज वॉर, तो उसमें इन लोगों ने डिफेंस के लिए एक ग्रुप बनाई थी बेस्ड ऑन द सुनी मुस्लिम्स. बेसिकली जो उसके ग्रुप मेंबर्स हैं वो बेसिकली सुनी मुस्लिम्स हैं इन ऑर्डर टू डिफेंड द कंट्री अगेंस्ट फ्रॉम द इजराइल. फाइन. सो देयरफॉर वही आज के टाइम में चल के एक टेररिस्ट ग्रुप बन चुका है. थर्ड key takeaway is, although the conflict could protract, means can get longer, it would remain geographically confined as Hamas and Islamic Jihad, both Gaza-based Sunnis outfits, have few all-weather friends. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है कि limited, चाहे ये तो लंबा चल सकता है, but it will have a limited, or will be confined to a particular geography, and that place is called the Gaza Strip basically. ठीक है, Gaza Strip, based in, of course, this Palestine side, you can say, of this सुनी बेस्ड आउटफिट और सुनी बेस्ड टेररिस्ट ग्रुप. सो इसके सिंस ऑल वेदर फ्रेंड ज़्यादा सपोर्टर नहीं है एक्सेप्ट ईरान एंड सो यू कैन सी दैट वर्ल्ड हैज़ बीन डिवाइडेड अगेन. कल ही आप देखोगे कि इंडिया जो है इसराइल को सपोर्ट कर रहा है, यूएस इज सपोर्टिंग इसराइल, यूके, ऑफ कोर्स इवन ऑस्ट्रेलिया, ऑल ऑफ दीज आर सपोर्टिंग इसराइल, फ्रांस in the retaliation. Fine. On the other hand, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, though not strongly supporting the Hamas, but has asked Israel to maintain to follow restraint. Fine. And Pakistan is, of course, outrightly supporting Hamas. Of course, there could be other players like as well. Iran तो है ही है, सबसे बड़ा supporter. And you can see in future China might be there because made in China launchers, rocket launchers मिले हैं जो कि हमास ने use किया है. So this is how the world can again be divided in this area apart from what already going on between Ukraine and Russia. So between the West Bank run by Al-Fatah in modus vivendi with Israel occupation authorities. So West Bank, of course, it is in the occupation of Israeli authorities, and Gaza administered by Hamas. Gaza Strip is a place which is in the Palestinian territory, you can say, administered by Hamas, which refuses to recognize Israel. So the whole issue between Israel and Palestine is Israel doesn't recognize or don't want to accept this, that Palestine is a separate nation. Israel says these are the part, they are just based on the territory actually which used to be of Israel only. So therefore Israel is not in mood to actually grant a statehood or a nationhood to the Palestine, and that's the issue. And in return even Hamas doesn't recognize Israel. As the further you can say that such kind of issues can re-emerge, and of course Islamic jihadist things we can see. Apart from this, regionally क्या impact हो सकता है इसका? So regionally too, the granular picture is largely non-supportive of Hamas. The only Arab neighbor of Gaza is Egypt, whose pro-West military regime has little love lost for the Gazan rulers as they were allies of the Muslim Brotherhood, that is Egyptian journals overthrew in 2013. तो जैसे कि इनिशियली इजिप्ट ने हमास को, अगर हमास है आज के टाइम में तो हमास को बनाने में इजिप्ट का भी रोल रहा है, बट दैट वाज अ टाइम वे बैक व्हेन अरब एंड इजराइल वॉर were going this war was going on. Fine, it's not of recent origin. And 2013 में सिंस अब जो इजिप्ट है प्रो वेस्ट मिलिट्री रेजिम जो है वो इसकी हो गई है मिलिट्री प्रो वेस्ट मीन्स वेस्टर्न नेशंस. तो देयरफॉर 2013 में ही इजिप्शियन जनरल जो है इन्होंने ओवरथ्रो कर दिया था such kind of support to the Hamas. So Cairo nevertheless is trying to de-escalate the current situation. All the Gulf monarchies except Qatar strongly disapprove of Hamas, calling it a political Islamic outfit. ठीक है? So all the Gulf monarchies like Saudi Arabia, UAE and all except Qatar strongly disapprove of Hamas, calling it a political Islamic outfit. Fine? So disapprove करते हैं इस हमास को and just they call it political Islamic outfit. Although Qatar regularly provides generous dollops of humanitarian assistance to the Gazans, it does not wish to annoy Washington either. ठीक है? Next player, again Turkey is even supporting the Hamas, not to forget. So Turkey, a big regional Sunni power, again traditionally supports Hamas, but Ankara's badly bruised economy has limited its outreach. तो जैसे इकोनॉमी सफर कर रही है टर्की की आज के टाइम में, तो हो सकता है कि टर्की भी लार्ज स्केल पे सपोर्ट ना कर पाए. वैसे हिस्टोरिकली सपोर्ट किए क्योंकि पॉपुलेशन सेम है, सुन्नी मुस्लिम हमास भी एंड सुन्नी मुस्लिम जो है वो टर्की भी है, तो सेम सेम भाई भाई. Moreover, it is trying to reconnect with Israel and the Gulf monarchs. Fine, Turkey is trying to reestablish its relation with Israel and Gulf monarchs. So अगर इसराइल के साथ रिलेशन अच्छे करें तो आप समझ सकते हो कि हमास को आप सपोर्ट नहीं कर पाओगे. Hamas and Islamic Jihad burned their bridges with Damascus in Syria decades ago by supporting the anti-Assad Arab Spring Intifada. While Damascus is the capital of Syria, and Hamas had a facile reconciliation last year, the latter's karma still rankles. कि दो इनके बीच में रिकंसिलेशन हो गई है, बट अगेन हमास जो है उसकी जो कर्माज हैं या जो भी उस जो कर रहा है वो कहीं ना कहीं के लिए खामियाजा उसको भुगतना होगा. मींस सिचुएशन हैज चेंज नाउ. द शिया ईरान has long been a mentor of the two Sunni outfits, at one point creating a clandestine weapons. Two Sunni outfits means Damascus and Hamas. Fine. तो कहीं ना कहीं शिया ईरान जो पॉपुलेशन है, इस्लामिक पॉपुलेशन, दैट इज शिया. टू मेजर फैक्शंस है इस्लामी में, दैट इज शिया एंड सुन्नी. फाइन. तो ईरान सपोर्ट करता है इसलिए ईरान में सेलिब्रेटरी मोड देखने को, सेलिब्रेशन देखने को मिली है हमें पोस्ट दिस हमास अटैक, बैड हमास व्हेन अटैक इजराइल. काफी एक लार्ज स्केल पे सेलिब्रेशन देखने को मिली है मीडिया में, आप देख सकते हो इजराइल में, तो ईरान में सॉरी. तो ईरान काफी खुश है इस चीज से. On balance, thus a long war between Hamas and Israel seems less likely unless Hamas overplays its hand in negotiating the release of Israeli hostages and Achilles heel for Israel, putting all bets off. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है कि जैसे देख भी सकते हैं कि हमास ये कह रहा है कि जो हमारे लोग कब्जे में है इजराइल के, वो वापस इजराइल दे, और जो जिनको हमने किडनैप किया उनके बदले में उनको वापस करे. सो अगर उस पर अड़ जाता है हमास, तो दिस इज द ओनली, आई मीन दिस वुड बी वेरी वेरी डिफिकल्ट इवन फॉर इजराइल टू नेगोशिएट. फाइन. सो दिस इज व्हाट जहां पे सारी जो बेट्स है इजराइल को फेल हो सकती है अगर हमास इस चीज पे टिका रहता है तो. ठीक है. अ डबल और क्विट ऑप्शन. सो barely the 10th month old ultra nationalist government with a double or quits option. So 10-month old ultra nationalist government है led by Benjamin Netanyahu, the current prime minister of Israel, and of course he was busy in the domestic affairs because lots of things were going on domestically. So this could be another reason why actually the focus was not that much, you can say, on this whatever happened. So even before Tufan al-Aqsa, Jerusalem hardline has led to a surge in violence with over 200 Palestinians and 30 Israelis dead this year. Even the Israelis' traditional policy on such matters, coupled with the current adrenaline high ambience, the line is likely to get harder. The crisis is also likely to corral the national unity. Fine. So somewhat नेशनल यूनिटी जो है, जो क्राइसिस है ऑन एक्सटर्नल फ्रंट, अगेन हो सकता है, बोथ वे हो सकता है. आइदर इट कैन कट फॉर और गो अगेंस्ट द करंट government, ultra high nationalist government of the Israel. Find how they are managing actually this current things. The profound consequences of regional geopolitics could include a delay in the rapprochement between Saudi Arabia and Israel. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है. Abraham Accord and all. After that, they are actually now normalizing their relations, Arab nations and especially the Gulf monarchs and Saudi Arabia, Israel trying to normalize their relations. Even we have this Abraham Accord between, of course, this Gulf nations and Israel. So everything leading to normalization of relation, but such kind of attacks or such kind of things could delay the rapprochement between the two sets of nations. As Tel Aviv would be unwilling to grant the concession to the Palestinians sought by Riyadh. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है, क्योंकि सऊदी अरेबिया ये चाहता है कि उसको एक सेपरेट नेशनहुड का जो दर्जा है वो इजराइल दे, रिकॉग्नाइज करे एज अ इंडिपेंडेंट नेशन, जो कि हो सकता है कि इजराइल अब तो नहीं करेगा एटलीस्ट इस स्टेज पे. Other Abraham Accord signatories would hope that their wager on economic gains riding roughshod over the regional politics would stand. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है. अदर जो है Abraham signatories like Morocco, like Bahrain, like UAE. So of course ये लोग चाहेंगे कि जो भी इकोनॉमिक गेन्स हुई हैं अभी तक वो चलती रहे. ईरान could feel emboldened by the arch enemy being in moral combat. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है कि जब आप देखते हो कि दुश्मन ऑलरेडी फंसा हुआ कहीं पे, ठीक है, जो आर्क एनिमी है ईरान का, दैट इज इजराइल, बिकॉज इजराइल इज अ ज्यूइश पॉपुलेशन. ठीक है. सो इनमें कभी नहीं बनी, तो कहीं ना कहीं ईरान को खुशी जरूर हो सकती है. एंड काफी देखने को भी मिली कि काफी ईरान के लोग खुश है, सड़कों पे आ गए हैं सेलिब्रेट करने के लिए इस चीज को. वेल, इंडिया इज नॉट डायरेक्टली अफेक्टेड बाय तूफान अल अक्सा. इट वुड नेवरदलेस फील सम हीट. प्रोट्रैक्टेड रीजनल टर्बुलेंस कुड कॉज कोलेटरल डैमेज टू एन ऑयल प्राइस राइज. सो इंडिया को क्या इंपैक्ट हो सकता है, हमें ये देखने को मिल सकता है कि अगर ये लंबा चला हमास एंड इजराइल का जो वॉर है, सो कॉल्ड वॉर, सो ऑफ कोर्स हमें ऑयल प्राइसेस जो हैं राइज होते दिख सकते हैं हमें. Impact on our diaspora as well. Lots of population, lots of diaspora is there in UAE, not UAE, but Gulf and in this area, even in Israel, and dim the prospects for India, Middle East, Europe economic corridor and other I2U2, that is Israel, India, and UAE and United States of America, I2U2 construct or the bloc. It can also highlight India as a safe, fast-growing economy for foreign investment, largely insulated from the turmoil. So this could be the positive, but these are the negatives. And this is how we should conclude our answer, giving some positive and balancing the same with some negatives as well. Fine, recognizing the reality. Fine. So a very good piece of article. You must read and revise the same. बाकी अभी काफी कुछ आता रहेगा इससे रिलेटेड इस मुद्दे पे, so we'll keep tap on that. Okay, apart from this, this is what caused the floods in Sikkim. So what are the glacier lake outburst floods? सबसे पहले तो ये पता हो, नाम ही ग्लेशियर लेक आउटबर्स्ट फ्लड है, मींस ग्लेशियर जो है जो आउटबर्स्ट हो जाती है, ओवर फ्लडिंग हो जाती है, तो वी कैन सी सच काइंड ऑफ दिस फ्लड्स. How do infrastructure projects like the Chungthang Dam affect the fragile ecosystem of the Himalayas? Can such events be predicted and prevented? What damage has the flood done in the state? So उत्तराखंड में भी हम देख चुके हैं. So of course इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट जो इन काफी फ्रेजल लोकेशंस में जो लगाई जाती है, उसकी वजह से भी इस तरह की सिचुएशन हमें देखने को मिलती है, जैसा कि हम उत्तराखंड में ऑलरेडी इस चीज को भुगत चुके हैं. तो बट डेवलपमेंट भी जरूरी है, बट बैलेंसिंग एक वो हमें रखनी होगी, सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट के फंडे को अपनाना होगा. So more than 25 people have been confirmed dead from the massive flood that resulted from a glacier lake outburst in Sikkim in the early hours of October 4th October. And GLOF होता क्या, glacier lake outburst flood. So these are basically the instances of large lakes formed from the melting of glaciers suddenly breaking free of their moraine. Moraine क्या होता है, glacier like यहाँ पे एक ऐसे बन जाता है पहाड़ों के बीच में, and यहाँ पे जो है वो पानी इकट्ठा हो जाता है ऐसे बीच में. So these are basically glaciers based so this lake, पानी जब इकट्ठा हो जाता है एक जगह पे. So a natural dams, so moraines are, you can say, a natural dams that are formed from rock, sediment and other debris. ठीक है, तो इस चारों साइड आप रॉक देखते हो, एक साइड से देख सकते हो कि आप कहीं ग्लेशियर मेल्ट होकर इसमें आ रही है, and this is how this looks like a natural dam, fine, called moraine. ज्योग्राफी में आप लोग इसको जरूर पढ़ चुके होंगे या पढ़ोगे. So water pipelines, sewage lines and 277 houses have been destroyed in the 4 most affected districts of this Sikkim. ठीक है, सो इतना कुछ नुकसान हो चुका है. ठीक है, सो आपको इसमें से प्रीलिम्स के लिए जो इंपॉर्टेंट चीजें आपको पता होना चाहिए, चोंगथांग डैम कहाँ है, उसके बाद आपको ग्लॉफ क्या होती है, ग्लॉफ वैसे आपसे मेंस में भी पूछा जा सकता है. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस लोहाना ग्लेशियर, ये भी इंपॉर्टेंट है, इसके लोकेशन एंड एवरीथिंग, फाइन, क्योंकि न्यूज में है तो आपको पता होना चाहिए. एंड ऑफ कोर्स इसके अलावा तीस्ता 3 हाइड्रो पावर प्रोजेक्ट, क्योंकि तीस्ता ही ओवर फ्लड हो गई थी. देख सकते हो कि ये जो लेक, जो ये मोरेन का पानी था, वो कहीं ना कहीं चला गया था तीस्ता रिवर में. सो ओवर फ्लडिंग उसकी वजह से हुई है. अल्टीमेटली हमें इस तरह के इम्पैक्ट जो देखने को मिले. एंड ऑफ कोर्स इसमें मेंशन भी है, रिपोर्ट इन द जनरल नेचर काउंट्स 1926 जम्मू एंड कश्मीर डेल्यू, द 1981 किन्नौर वैली फ्लड्स इन हिमाचल प्रदेश एंड 2013 केदारनाथ आउटबर्स्ट इन लद्दाख आर एग्जाम्पल्स ऑफ ग्लॉफ रिलेटेड डिजास्टर्स. तो अगर आप एग्जाम्पल सपोर्ट करना चाहो तो आप 1926 से जम्मू एंड कश्मीर से उठा के आप 2013 की केदारनाथ में जो हुआ त्रासदी जो हुई थी, वो भी ग्लॉफ के नतीजे थे. ठीक है, तो ऑल ऑफ दिस कुड बी कोटेड एज एन एग्जाम्पल ऑफ सच ग्लॉफ रिलेटेड इवेंट्स. फाइन, सो ऑल ऑफ दिस, बाकी इसमें कुछ चीज़ें हैं जो डिटेलिंग है, तो एग्जाम पॉइंट, मेंस एग्जाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से इंपॉर्टेंट हो सकता है. डैमेजेस आर सच इवेंट्स लाइकली इन द फ्यूचर, ऑफ कोर्स इवन इन फ्यूचर, क्योंकि दिस इवेंट्स विल गो ऑन, फाइन, considering the climate change and everything, considering the melting of glaciers and considering the developmental works, kind of works going on in the Himalayas especially. So yes, such events likely in the future. Of course 2013 के बाद हमें फिर से देखने को मिला, तो this will keep on happening unless and until we are not we are not taking some substantial policy measures, fine. So as much as we can predict and stop it, we should, otherwise things are not totally in our hand, fine. Next important thing, of course, again, is how the Digital India Act, that is DIA, will shape the future of the country's cyber landscape. So this is again important, very important from exam perspective. UPSC used to like to ask one question based on the current government policy measures or the acts or the laws. So the proposed DIA encompasses several pivotal clauses that mirror the dynamic evolution of digital environment. So let us have a look at it. So of course, when you are talking about digital, this India initiative or act, so of course it would have been released by none other than Digital India Act 23 represents a significant step towards establishing a future-ready legal framework for the country's burgeoning digital ecosystem. This move by the Ministry of course, MITI, that is Electronics and Information Technology, signals a proactive approach to regulating and shaping the digital future of the nation. Because you see everything being, we are pushing or we have made a remarkable progress in this digitalization. So therefore we also the time this is the need of hour to have a strong mechanism in place to regulate this digital domain or ecosystem as well. So in this direction you can say moving with times, of course. So DIA is going to replace which act? So आपको पता होना चाहिए, this is going to replace the 2-decade-old Information Technology Act 2000, fine, IT Act 2000, designed to address the challenges and opportunities presented by the dramatic growth of the internet and emerging technologies. It is imperative to understand the key aspects of this legislation and why it is essential in the contemporary context. So क्यों important है in the 21st century of the digital domain, and why it is going to replace the IT Act of 2000. So ये सब हमारे लिए जानना जरूरी है. The primary motivation behind the DIA is to bring India's regulatory landscape in sync with the digital revolution of the 21st century. Of course, this is important. ठीक है. So of course कहीं ना कहीं India's internet user base अगर आप देखोगे तो exploded from just mere 5.5 million to a staggering 850 million, means 85 करोड़. Fine. So the nature of from 2000 up till now, so therefore we need massive, such kind of a stricter regulation or regulate, laws as well. So internet usage has also evolved with the emergence of various intermediaries and the proliferation of new forms of user harm such as cyber stalking, trolling and doxing. The DIA recognizes these changes and aims to provide a comprehensive legal framework to address all of them. So key provisions क्या हैं, one by one we'll see quickly कि क्या की प्रोविजंस हैं इस DIA के, डिजिटल इंडिया एक्ट के. So first you can see it places a strong emphasis on online safety and trust with a commitment to safeguarding citizens' rights in the digital realm while reimagining or remaining adaptable to shifting market dynamics and international legal principles. So very good कि safeguard करेगी citizens की privacy and rights जो भी हैं. Alongside that it will be adaptable to the shifting market dynamics around the world. Fine, जो भी evolve हमें later on इसमें evolution देखने को मिलेगी. Second की जो outcome होगी, that is recognizing the growing importance of new age technologies such as artificial intelligence and blockchain. The DIA provides guidelines for their responsible utilization. So this is another important point about this DIA. Thirdly, you can see it upholds the concept of an open internet, striking a balance between accessibility and necessary regulations to maintain order and protect users. Fine. So open internet जो है, it is striking a balance between accessibility and necessary regulation at the same time. Plus, it also protects users. So additionally, the DIA mandates the stringent know your customer requirement for wearable devices accompanied by criminal law sanctions. And lastly, it contemplates a review of the safe harbor principle, which presently shields online platforms from liability related to user-generated content, indicating a potential shift in online accountability standards. So अभी जो जैसे YouTube है, Google है, Twitter है, इनको safe harbor की जो clause है वो लागू होती है इनके साथ. So इनको कहीं ना कहीं कुछ liability से कुछ राहत मिल जाती है, इनको presently shield करती है ये safe harbor नाम की clause. Fine, under the present act. So कहीं ना कहीं ये भी जो गवर्नमेंट है वो रिव्यू करने को सोच रही है और रिव्यू करेगी इस एक्ट के अंडर. So that's a good thing. The myriad challenges. After this much of the core features of this act, now what are the myriad challenges moving ahead from So while the introduction of the DIA is a commendable step towards addressing the challenges of the digital age, there are certain aspects that warrant a critical evaluation. Right? There are certain challenges as well. One key concern is the potential impact on innovation and the ease of doing business. Stricter regulations, particularly emerging technologies, could inadvertently stifle entrepreneurial initiative and deter foreign investment. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है कि ज़्यादा अगर strict अगर regulations हुई तो कहीं ना कहीं जो new age development है, जो entrepreneurial initiatives है या foreign investment है, उसको कहीं ना कहीं deter करेगी. ठीक है. So एक balance बनाने की ज़रूरत होगी. Additionally, the review of the safe harbor principle, which shield online platforms from liability for user-generated content, would lead to a more cautious approach among these platforms. Fine. Another issue could be the DIA's success hinges on effective enforcement, which will require substantial resources, expertise, and infrastructure, balancing the interest of various stakeholders, including tech giants, while ensuring the protection of the citizen rights poses a significant challenge moving forward. Fine. So this could be another challenge. What else? Therefore, you can say DIA is a crucial step towards ensuring a secure. In conclusion, you can say DIA is a crucial step towards ensuring a secure, accountable, and innovative digital future for India. It represents a forward-looking approach to regulation in age of constant change and has the potential to shape the country's digital landscape for generations to come. So this is how you can conclude in such, on the futuristic lines. And as consultations continue, it will be interesting to see how this proposed legislation evolves and plays out in the dynamic digital arena. So we'll be keeping tab on this when it will be finally released by the government. Fine. Now quickly let us have a look at the miscellaneous facts. So Sikkim flash flood, 32 bodies recovered, search continues. Indian Air Force unveils new insignia as it marks its 91st anniversary. Fine. So this year's celebration was held, or Air Force Day parade was held at the Air Force Station in Prayagraj, that is Bamrauli. Fine. And new insignia actually was released. You can see this figure. The Indian Air Force unveiled its new insignia at the annual Air Force Day parade at Prayagraj. You can see now this is a new logo, you can say, or insignia of. Apart from the what exactly was the theme for this year? So theme for this year was Air Force Day was Air Force Beyond Boundaries. Fine. So this is the first Air Force Day parade to be commanded by a women officer group, Captain Shaliza Dhami. So आपको ये भी पता होना चाहिए कि this is the first Air Force Day parade which was commanded by a women officer. Fine. And explaining the new insignia, statement said IAF crest has a national symbol, Ashoka lion. Fine. इसमें clearly visible नहीं है, but इस पे है. On the top with the word Satyameva Jayate in Devanagari. Below the Ashokan lion is a Himalayan eagle with its wings spread like fighter jets, denoting the fighting qualities of the IAF. Fine. And there is a ring in this one, this ring, smaller one, in the light blue color, encircles the Himalayan eagle with the words Bharatiya Vayu Sena. And the motto of the IAF is inscribed below Himalayan eagle in golden Devanagari. Fine. So ये हमारे लिए फैक्ट जो हो इंपॉर्टेंट हो सकते हैं. GST काउंसिल की रिसेंट जो मीटिंग हुई है that took place in New Delhi. Fine. तो इससे रिलेटेड इसमें कुछ इनिशिएटिव लिए गए हैं, रिलीफ फॉर SCG सप्लायर्स एंड सम डिस्प्यूट्स रिलेटेड मैटर्स टू बी सॉर्टेड आउट. एंड इसमें स्पेशली काउंसिल क्लियर्स अ फ्यू मेजर्स टू बूस्ट फॉरेन ट्रेड. ठीक है. सो फॉरेन ट्रेड के रिलेशन में कुछ मेजर्स इसमें लिए गए. ओके. सो EP4 करके जो है वो दैट इज इमरजेंसी प्रोक्योरमेंट. रिमेंबर EP4 is related to the army, Indian Army. So it has concluded 70 schemes under EP4 worth 11,000 crore. You can see locally जो है वो procure करेगी Indian Army from the local suppliers. Fine. That is focus is on indigenization. Fine. More and more of procurement from the indigenous MSMEs kind of thing, or you can say the Indian companies. Fine. So that's a good thing again. Apart from this, you can see here news. So more or less you have politics here. Okay. ISRO ने फिर से परफॉर्म किया ट्रेजेक्टरी करेक्शन फॉर आदित्य L1 मिशन. फाइन. The spacecraft is headed to Lagrangian one point which lies between the Sun-Earth line. Latest maneuver marked the beginning of Aditya L1 110 journey expected to end in January. Fine. So this is again a maneuverability and maneuverability in simple sense called the trajectory correction by the space agency. Student can choose to take board exams once or twice a year. Fine. Under new NCF, that is new curriculum framework. इसको हम already काफी डिटेल में डिस्कस कर चुके हैं. Board related things in previous articles. Now SC flags need for dependable code of police investigation. And apart from this, prey based habitat dictate Asiatic wild dog tiger existence. Fine. So prey based actually and habitat dictate of course the coexistence of Asiatic wild dog and tiger existence. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है. Remember एशियाटिक जो wild dog है इनको हम ढोल भी बोल देते हैं. The dhole or Asiatic wild dog is the only endangered wild pack living canid in the tropical Indian forest and is considered at a high risk of extinction. Remember इसकी IUCN जो status है that is endangered है and only endangered wild pack living canid in the tropical Indian forest. ठीक है, and it is considered at the high risk of extinction even. ठीक है, तो जरूरी है कि इसमें हम now coexistence की बात चल रही है. फ्रेगमेंटेड पॉपुलेशन ऑफ कोर्स बिकॉज ऑफ हैबिटेट लॉस एंड प्रे लॉस जो बेस है वो खत्म होती जा रही है. अपार्ट फ्रॉम द वर्ल्ड न्यूज ऑफ कोर्स वर्ल्ड न्यूज पे 2 इजरायली टूरिस्ट 1 इजिप्शियन डेड इन एलेक्जेंड्रिया शूटिंग. इजिप्ट में ईरान राइसी सपोर्ट्स पैलेस्टीनियन सेल्फ डिफेंस. सो देख सकते हो हमास को क्लियर कट सपोर्ट है इनकी. Biden orders US ships warplanes to move closer to Israel, sends munitions. Fine. तो देख सकते हो अमेरिका की पूरी सपोर्ट है इसराइल को एंड इवन की यूएस की जो वॉर शिप्स हैं वॉर प्लेन्स हैं दे हैव मूव टू क्लोजर टू इसराइल एंड दे सेंड म्यूनिशन एज वेल. हो सकता है कि ईरान भी सपोर्ट करे लेट अस से टू द हमास. सो लेटर हमें ये फ्लेयर्ड अप देखने को मिल सकता है कि लार्ज स्केल लेवल पे भी ये जा सकता है. सो इसलिए पूरी तैयारी रखी जा रही है दोनों साइड से. earthquake डेथ बात कर चुके हैं, more than 2000 in Afghanistan. Then sports you have more or less. This is a science page. So unraveling the links between consanguinity and genetic disease. So यहाँ पे genetic concept से related बात की गई है. So यहाँ पे रिसर्च देखने को हमें मिली है. यहाँ पे बात कर रहे हैं साइंटिस्ट कैन क्वांटिफाई रिलेटेडनेस बिटवीन 2 इंडिविजुअल्स कि 2 लोगों के बीच में जो रिलेशन है उसको क्वांटिफाई कर सकते हैं साइंटिस्ट विद द हेल्प ऑफ genetic material as a percentage of genetic material shared between them or by genetic material in stretches of chromosome that are identical to each other and inherited from parents. So यहाँ पे either genetic material के थ्रू और genetic material जो कि इन stretches में हमें देखने को मिलती है कि इसमें इन chromosomes, fine, तो उसके थ्रू भी 2 लोगों की जो relativeness जो है कि how the 2 people are related can be quantified by the scientist. Scientists have identified several endogamous, that is within one's group population in India with very high levels of genetic relatedness and have identified many populations in India with a very high level of inbreeding, that is some more so than the Ashkenazi Jews. So even Jews से भी ज़्यादा हमें endogamy and inbreeding Indian population में देखने को मिली है साइंटिस्ट को. And there is some evidence suggesting that ancient populations in which bottlenecks restricted mating choices would have resulted in consanguinity. ठीक है, कि ancient times में हमें जो कुछ bottlenecks, कुछ दिक्कतें देखने को मिली थी which restricted the mating choices, fine, between the 2 sets of people have resulted in such kind of consanguinity. So these are the different types of finding. The misfortunes of the royal marriages, then benefits of consanguinity, and molecular measures of consanguinity, okay, and consanguinity and disease. ठीक है, so you can see that somewhat (15 to 20% of the world population practices inbreeding, especially in Asia and West Africa. Consanguinity has both shaped our cultural landscape and left an indelible mark on our genetic destiny. तो देख सकते हो कि ये सारे फायदे हैं इसके. Fine. So inbreeding is what? It means marriages between genetically related individuals, otherwise called inbreeding. Inbreeding and endogamy. Endogamy is marrying within one, or let us say caste group or so. So this is all about the today's Hindu analysis. Before we stop here, let us have a quick look at today's questions. So here are your questions. Number 1, the proposed Digital India Act encompasses several pivotal clauses that mirror The dynamic evolution of the digital environment, addressing its multifaceted challenges and opportunities. You need to comment in 250 words for a 50-marker question. The second question is related to the IAF. So Indian Air Force marked its 81st anniversary recently, and the theme for this year's Air Force Day was IAF, that is Indian Air Force, Air Power Beyond Boundaries. So these are the two questions that you need to solve. So that's it from my side for the day. If you have any query, you can put them in the comment section. Until then, take care, keep revising, and stay tuned for tomorrow's Hindu analysis. Thank you.